This great reset is as serious and as dangerous a threat to our prosperity, to your prosperity and your freedom, as we have faced in decades.
Today we embark on a riveting journey into the dystopian landscape where apparently you will own nothing and love, well, probably nothing too. So gather around, fellow gamers and geeks, as we jump on this roller coaster ride through the digital abyss, where the brilliant minds of the World Economic Forum's Klaus Schwab have graciously decreed that personal ownership is so last season.
With these powerful bodies, including the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, and even Prince Charles boasting that within a few short years, yes, their words, you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Who needs the joy of possessing tangible treasures when you can bask in the glory of digital, ephemeral delights? Tighten those imaginary seatbelts, my friends, because we're about to dive first into a world where the only thing you truly own is the knowledge of what you might lose next. In the whimsical realm of digital wizardry. Welcome to the future, where you'll own nothing and love, well, you get the point. Let the adventure begin.
Remember, this is not me saying this is them. They are even running ads for the Great Reset.
Fellow gamers, nerds, and cinephiles, are you aware we're in a battle of epic proportions? Streaming is clashing with the unsung hero, physical media. In the realm of ever-shifting bandwidth and questionable audio fidelity, our brave protagonist sets forth on a quest to uncover the dark secrets of digital ownership. A quest as perilous as trying to cross Monty Python's Bridge of Death without knowing the airspeed velocity of an African or European swallow. In the enchanted realm of streaming, where the buy button is a mirage, our hero exposes the harsh truth. You don't truly own your digital media. Behold the era of licensing, where your cherished film collection is as stable as a noob in a competitive esports match. As streaming giants wage war for supremacy, our protagonist unveils a grim reality. Art, once thought immune to the ravages of time, now faces an existential threat. Streaming originals, vulnerable to the whims of corporate overlords, lack the sanctuary of physical copies. Yet, a lone champion, Shudder, stands defiant, offering physical relics of horror to outlive the streaming abyss. In the throes of battle, a dire concern surfaces, the dreaded internet outage. Our hero laments the unprepared masses, who, without downloaded backups, face a fate worse than a leggy server. Meanwhile, physical media stands tall, unaffected by the whims of connectivity, ready to entertain even when the internet gods abandon us. In the annals of nostalgia, our hero mourns the loss of special features, bloopers, commentary tracks, and deleted scenes scattered like piss in the wind. As streaming attempts to replicate these treasures, the experience falters, leaving enthusiasts yearning for the days when bonus content was a tangible delight. In a rallying cry to the streaming overlords, our valiant storyteller urges a paradigm shift. No longer must physical media be relegated to the shadows. The streaming giants, once wary of devaluing their digital dominion, are implored to embrace a harmonious coexistence. Remember the good old days when families gathered around the TV, bonding over shared shows, and friends could get together and discuss what had happened on television the night before? Fast forward to today, and the rise of streaming sites has turned us into solitary binge watchers, scattered across different spaces and times. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, they've given us the world at our fingertips, but at what cost? Possibly the end of our social lives. Streaming has spread its tentacles across the globe, weaving a litany of negative influences into our lives. From the binge-watching craze to the cultural shift in content creation, I am left pining for the days of yore. I wish we could rewind to a later time, maybe even the VHS era of the 80s and 90s. However, streaming roots aren't exactly new. They trace back to the shaky internet connections and DVD by mail services of the past. YouTube flaunted the potential, but it took until the mid-2000s for stable internet to birth Netflix's streaming empire. Fast forward, and now we're drowning in a sea of crappy content that can be edited at any moment, leaving us wondering what was there before. Yes, binge watching, the guilty pleasure we all indulge in until we're nursing fatigue, insomnia, and a sprinkle of depression. Scientific studies wave red flags, linking binge watching to poor sleep and mental health issues. But it's not just about health. Streaming's influence has turned watching into a social obligation. From Tiger King to the next big thing, the pressure to keep up with trends is reshaping our watching habits. And then there's the illusion of choice. Netflix boasts a library that would take a decade to conquer, but this abundance has a downside: choice overload. Streaming's overchoice phenomenon, paired with the death of monoculture, divides us into isolated watching islands. The socioeconomic gap widens as streaming prices soar, forcing users into uncomfortable decisions about which content to sacrifice for the sake of their wallets. As streaming services play the exclusivity game and prices rise, we're teetering on the edge of a future where every media giant will have its own streaming service. With way too many ads, mind you. A glorified redux of the cable bundle nightmare. Enter the question, is the future free content? Ad-based streaming services hint at a potential escape from the paywall dilemma. However, do we even want that? Most of us can no longer stand ads at all. So here's the problem. You don't actually own the digital movies you buy. Shocking, right? The $14.99 or more you spent on that cinematic masterpiece? Well, it's more like you rented it with an invisible expiration date. Talk about a dystopian nightmare where your favorite movies can disappear faster than your hopes and dreams. Because when the corporate overlords decide that they've had enough, poof, your collection is as gone as your social life after binge watching The Office for the 37th time. And can we talk about quality for a minute? Apparently, streaming 4K is like watching a blurry, pixelated mess compared to the majestic wonder of a 4K Blu-ray. Your top-notch streaming service, it's just a peasant compared to the almighty physical media that preserves the sacred work of the filmmakers. Forget about those pesky compression issues. DVDs and Blu-rays are here to save cinema. So, in an unsurprising move, Disney is planning to create another live-action version of an old IP. Because why not mess with another classic that's been tugging at our heartstrings for over 80 years? Fans are, of course, not exactly thrilled. In fact, they're basically reenacting that scene from the original where Bambi's mom dies, which makes a lot of sense since that scene will be cut from the reboot. Unfortunately, as part of this sensitivity saga, more and more violent scenes are being cut from old IP. In fact, we should be more concerned about that happening on these streaming services. So you'll buy a movie, right? And then it will be edited later on because there's something in it that modern audiences don't approve of. Is that really what you want to happen? Even in this day and age, people have struggled for decades trying to find the original versions of Star Wars because George Lucas continues to edit them. And of course, they'll turn Bambi and other future films, probably X-Men and the Fantastic Four, into woke nonsense. Because can they do anything anymore without turning it woke, engaging in diversity hires, and attempting to ruin their classic intellectual property? Unfortunately, Apple TV has been just as guilty of this as Disney Plus, and many are discovering that they're not really buying anything. It's more like entering a temporary digital rental agreement, a long-term rental agreement, supposedly, where Apple can ghost you and delete your shit whenever they feel like it. And if you decide to waste your time calling Apple's tech support, they're basically going to tell you, you agreed to this, deal with it. Oh, and by the way, they can change your movie version faster than you can say, where's my refund? In response to this, I'm saying stop buying digital media. You can still pay for your streaming services, but don't buy movies unless you're buying a physical copy. Otherwise, Klaus Schwab will come for you and steal all your shit. Okay? It's time to declare a crusade against digital purchases. No more trusting Apple. It's Blu-rays and DVDs for life. It's physical media for life. I don't care if you even buy a VHS or some records. Do it however you want. Because who needs digital when you can have physical discs that no corporate nanny can sneak into your house and mess with? So go for that physical media. Don't you want to hold that disc in your hand? It's like a warm, fuzzy hug compared to the icy uncertainty of digital ownership. Who knew? As our epic saga hurtles towards its buffering-free denouement, the burning question hangs in the digital air. Will the mighty streaming titans bow to the undeniable allure of physical media? Or are we destined for pixelated purgatory? The battle lines have been etched into the digital landscape, and only the relentless march of time will unveil the victor. So in this suspenseful interlude, may your downloads be swifter than a hero's reflexes, and may your physical discs stand steadfast and ready for action. And now, my dear mortals, let's cut through the pixels and unveil the ultimate truth. Streaming's convenience may be tempting, but why settle for a fleeting digital dalliance? Rise above the 21st century's siren song and embrace the unadulterated magnificence of physical media. So heed this call to arms. Cancel those useless streaming subscriptions, cast away the chains of digital servitude, and usher in the reign of DVDs, Blu-rays, and other forms of physical media. For what could possibly surpass the premium experience of a cherished, scratched-up disc that holds more value than a digital library?
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.